Hi, so I'm a registered general nurse, an independent nurse prescriber, and I hold a diploma in personal nutrition. My life really changed over 8.5 years ago when I was diagnosed with a very aggressive cancer. And following surgery, I just opted out of every other form of treatment, even though I was advised that I would die. That was to completely change everything that I was ever taught about modern allopathic medicine, and I looked at the whole history of it. And I've seen that go on further, where everyone really, apart from the emergency room, everything about nursing is really about applying a pharmaceutical drug. And no one actually knows, really, from what I see, how to actually heal a body. So you see all of the doctors now, all of the healthcare professionals have the complete monopoly. We have the 1939 Cancer Act in the UK, where you're not actually allowed to tell a patient you can cure them. And so what you see now is just a pharmaceutical-led industry, which is what it is. The attempt is to make you sick and keep you hooked on lots of drugs. And we see that evident today, that even when presented with the facts, and they are scientific facts, doctors have come out with this pandemic, that still in the UK, the doctors and the nurses are still adhering to the narrative without question at all.
The next question we have, I mean, that just begs the question about, what is this virus? Is it, can you actually have a mask protect you from a virus? Or is antibacterial soap actually going to help prevent some virus? So I'd like to just talk a little bit about the virus and, what these measures they're trying to implement. Let's say it was true. Would that even be effective? I'd like to divert right now to Kate.
Hi. So first of all, viruses, you can't catch a virus. They actually are inside the body, dead protein structures. They're so small, they're nanoparticles, that even if you were to cough, it's going to go through a mask anyway. So when you would be in a surgical experience, you would wear masks and gloves and a gown to protect a patient from whatever bacteria you use. So what you have is these nurses are in the hospitals, in the nursing homes, and assuming the narrative that a lot of these nurses, or most of them, don't know. And you even have doctors saying that, you can catch a virus. I have lots of, they are not doing a test. They're just diagnosing people with having this COVID, and then they're putting them into a room. So people that are coming in, that they're not sure if they've got it, they're waiting for tests or whatever, they're putting them in the same room. Well, that doesn't make sense. That's not, you have barrier nursing and reverse barrier nursing. So if you didn't want other people to get it and you didn't have confirmed cases, you wouldn't put them in the same room. So then you excuse me, COVID, you have in nursing homes, they're saying that these patients have got COVID, and then they're wearing the same pair of gloves to go into each room to take in these patients' food, to take in their medications. It's quite bizarre. And then when you see certain people wearing masks and not other people, none of it actually adds up. And it's almost as though, I will say this, when I see nurses taking photographs of themselves with their masks on and their gloves on and their aprons on, waiting for all the patients to come, but they're wearing the same apron, the same gloves, it doesn't make sense. It's almost like they've lost all rational thinking, because that would mean that everyone that's coming, you're just transferring constantly. If it was so contagious, like what they're saying, then you would be transferring it to every patient with what you've got on, because they're telling us 6 foot apart or 6 foot under, making out that you can cough, sneeze, barf, fling sweat, and breathe, and that virus is going to be in all of that. Well, if that was the case, then every time a patient's in front of you, it's going to be on your hair, your clothing, it's going to be on all your protective clothing. So surely then you would be carrying that to everybody that you come in contact with, even when you go home. So it's almost as though common sense hasn't kicked in with a lot of the nurses at all. It doesn't make sense. It's like rational thinking has gone out the window. And then we see, I've seen police officers, and they'll have a pair of gloves on, and they'll be touching their radios, they'll be touching their uniforms, and then they'll be getting a hold of members of the public and putting them in vans. Well, then that would mean that they've just cross-contaminated everything with this really, really infectious pandemic. It's quite bizarre.
Absolutely. And they're creating this fear of, a virus that's not how viruses are transferred. I'd like to talk a little bit to Derek Braz.
What a lot of people don't realize, we're talking about everything that's happening together, very, very softly, like what's happened looking back through history. We don't have all this foisted on us all at once. It's a gradual thing. It's gradual. Little bits get taken away from us. We accept it. And then a little bit more gets taken away. We accept it. So at the moment, there's all this talk about mandatory vaccines. So, and now, we're being told that we've all got to stay social distancing, stay home. Everyone's accepted it. Most people have. And then it's going to be down to everyone's going to have the test. And most people accept it because they want to get back to what they think is normal, but normal's gone. And then it will be the vaccine. So it's a little bit like they're just going to drip feed. Now, first of all, the hospitals were built all over the UK, the Nightingale hospitals, which if you are building it from a point of view of cross-contamination, infection, these are just great big open rooms with lots of beds, lots of ventilators. And then in May 2020, the new law, guideline, whatever you want to call it, act comes in. Unless you opt out, everyone is an organ donor. Everyone. Well, you can't be an organ donor if you've had cancer. 1 in 2 people in the UK have cancer in their lifetime, and that's soon going to be everybody, I believe, by 2050. So who would make the best organ donors? Well, that would be children and young adults. So why do we have all these hospitals? Why do we have all these, new ventilators, these great big sprawling open rooms? What are they sitting there for? I've never known anyone build anything unless they're going to use it. And then we're ranking up the 5G, which is all in, and it is in. It's being laid out while all the kids were sent home, so they all missed their exams. It's never, ever happened in my lifetime. Some teachers, head teachers I was talking to, every single school, they were all sent home. They've all missed their exams. So jumping ahead, I'm starting to think, what do they have planned for this pandemic? That it's all going to be ranked up. Everyone's going to get sick. So going back to what Shai said, it's okay. I'm not frightened at all. I'm a Christian. I'm 54 years old. God decides when I die. And so it's very easy for me to speak out. It just rolls off my back, all the criticism and hate, etc. However, I do believe that by sitting there and saying, well, I'm not prepared, I'm not going to live in that. I'm not going to have that vaccine. I'm not going to have that test. So I'm going to stay home. I'm going to grow my vegetables. The problem with, which is great, which is how I want to live anyway. But what happens if we need emergency care? It takes us back to, if anyone's read the book, Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. You either lived in utopia or you lived in a savage reservation. So that would make me sort of, we have to act now. We don't want, sorry, someone keeps trying, no matter how much I decline, they keep calling me. We don't want it to get to the stage where the 5G is up, the test is up and running, the vaccine is up and running. It's a case of safety in numbers. We're a huge population in the world, and we all need to literally get up off our knees and rise to this now and say we're not actually going to have any of this now. Because if we don't, we're going to literally have utopia and the savage reservation. And the savage reservation, Aldous Huxley, incidentally, was a member of the Committee of 300. Everyone hailed his book as a science fiction book, but it was actually a blueprint for society. And that's exactly what you see happening now. That's exactly what they're bringing in. All of what was in his book. And I would really advise everyone to read it. So I think to wait and try and live alongside this utopia will not do anything really for any of us. And certainly I've got 4 teenagers who have gone through the system. I would say that 3 of them were very brainwashed, and they're going to be into it. So I do think we need to make some really good action here. We need to literally be up off our knees and protesting now, not trying to live in that utopia, but not of it. We need to get out. Our government is corrupt. The people who own 5G and like what Shai was saying about the Chinese Communist Party, all our government can be tracked back to allowing that, to selling, to having money put in. They've all had a part in it somewhere. They're all in bed together. They all have shares in pharmaceutical companies, Sage. They're all linked back to Bill Gates. They're all in the same big, massive pot. So we can't trust them. Locally, people can they should go and report 5G as a crime because it's a weapon. It's not insured. They need to report it to their police. The police are saying, oh, no, we're not. It's a health matter. No, it's not. It's a weapon. It's a crime. If you don't get any results there, you go to the PCC, you go above them, you get the officer's name. If they won't give you a crime number, just log the time and date you went. And then you go to the IOPC if you don't hear anything back. Just keep hammering all your local MPs. They're probably not very good, but you have to keep doing it. Everybody's on their knees. All of the small businesses have closed. Get up, open. The police are exercising powers that they do not have based on parliamentary preferences. For instance, you can go out and exercise. On the letter from Boris Johnson, it said you must stay home and protect the NHS. It's complete garbage. So that's a preference saying that you can't go out and go to where you want to go to walk your dog. And the police have got no powers whatsoever to give you a fine based on that. So do you accept it, or do you get off your knees and just say, I'm not paying that, let it go to court? So they are civilians in uniform. So people, small businesses, get up, get opened. That's what I'd say. All the small shops, and let's exactly not bother going to the big supermarkets. The ones that, because I think it was Arthur Miller, the playwright, said, when we put our trust in idols, we become but children. When we put our trust in God, therefore ourselves, we become open to infinite possibilities and awareness. Don't put your faith in false idols. That's these Muppets running the government. They're not really running it. And, doctors that are, it's sorcery, a lot of what they do. Pharmakeia is sorcery. Start looking up for yourself. Start being in control of yourself. Don't put your life in someone else's hands, because they'll abuse it every time. And that's what all our new parliamentary acts are, open to abuse from those in power, be it the police and doctors. Thank you for having me, and Godspeed to everybody. Only we can overturn tyranny. It's not those that are doing the evil deeds that allow it to pass. It's us, the people, who accept it and are complicit in it.